I bet you didn't know there's an airline just for horses, or that drinking too much water can actually be fatal. Well, it's true. Get ready, because today we're covering some of life's big questions. What came first? Was it the chicken or the egg? And there can't seriously be a job called a dice swallower. Can there? Why don't we find out? Here are 20 random facts that might not seem it, but are 100% true. Back in the day, medical schools desperately needed bodies, but there weren't enough, so body snatching became big business. Grave robbers, known as resurrectionists, used to steal fresh corpses so often that families started guarding graves and installing iron cages as a deterrent. And what's even crazier is that if they stole a body, they only received a fine, but if they stole clothes or jewelry, well, that was a crime punishable by death. 18th century English gambling dens had a bizarre way to hide evidence. They hired people whose sole job was to swallow the dice during police raids. These dice swallowers had to act fast, gulping them down before officers could seize them. But the trick didn't always work. Police caught on and started detaining the culprits until the dice returned. So I guess there's a job that's worse than dice swallower. It's the guy that has to find them 2 days later. Ever feel like everyone's staring at that pesky coffee stain that's impossible to remove, or just generally noticing every awkward thing you do? Well, that's the spotlight effect. It's our tendency to overestimate how much people actually notice us. It happens because we're the center of our own world, so we assume we're the center of everyone else's too. But in reality, most people are too busy worrying about themselves to even give you a second thought. So relax. They really don't care as much as you think they do. Believe it or not, some places on maps don't actually exist. Mapmakers add fake towns, streets, and landmarks as copyright traps to catch anyone copying their work. Agloe, New York was one of these. It was added in the 1930s by the General Drafting Company as a map trap, but then something weird happened. By chance, a small general store opened at that very same spot and people actually started visiting the place. Overnight, Agloe went from fictional map trap to real life town. And it's not just maps, dictionaries have also been known to include fake words. The name's a bit more creative than map trap though. For whatever reason, they call these fake words Mount Weasels. One of life's great mysteries has been solved. Science has proven the egg came before the chicken. Hard-shelled eggs evolved 312 million years ago, while chickens are only about 8,000 years old. The modern chicken came from the red jungle fowl. Its ancestor laid an egg with a small mutation and hatched the first true chicken. Straight out of Stranger Things, I give you the star-nosed mole. So this guy has 22 soft, tentacle-like feelers attached to the end of his nose. I guess you'd like to know why. Well, these feelers are basically superpowered touch sensors helping them navigate and forage in complete darkness. The official name is Imer's organs. Equipped with over 100,000 nerve endings, moles can identify and eat prey in the space of just 8 milliseconds. And if you're wondering, this is faster than the human eye can process. If you've ever looked a goat in the eye, you'd probably notice that they've got weird rectangular pupils. No, this isn't because they've been watching too much Farmer Wants a Wife. Turns out it's all about survival. These pupils give goats a 340-degree field of vision, and with some clever eye positioning being firmly affixed to the sides of their heads, they can literally see backwards. And they've got another eye-related quirk. When they tilt their heads, their pupils stay horizontally aligned. It's like a sort of biological internal level, and it gives them a stable view when navigating steep terrain. There's an airline exclusively for horses. It's called Air Horse One. It's a specialized plane that flies horses across the country in padded stalls inside the main cabin. And the horses are treated to a first-class experience. They get fresh hay and water on demand, and all the extra legroom they could ever want. Ever heard of impossible colors? They're hues the human eye shouldn't be able to see, like red, green, or yellow, blue. Normally, your brain processes these colors as opposites, but staring at them side by side tricks it into blending them into something new. These colors don't exist in the normal spectrum, and they're not found in nature, but Try telling that to your brain. Fort Knox isn't just secure, it's one of the most locked down places on Earth, to the point where only one US president has ever set a foot inside. That president was Franklin Roosevelt in 1943, granted special access during World War II to personally verify that America's gold reserves were secure. And you'd probably want to personally verify when there's half the US Treasury's gold supply on the line. But there's really no risk of it going missing. It sits behind a 22-ton blast-proof door. It can't be opened by just one person, and it's under constant surveillance. It's pretty much the most unrobbable place on Earth. For over a decade, red M&Ms went missing, all because of a dye they didn't even use. When the FDA banned red dye number 2, Mars pulled red M&Ms to avoid public confusion, replacing them with the orange ones instead. But red M&M fans weren't having it, and in 1987, a college student's petition helped bring red back. Ironically, this time they actually were using red dye number 2 after the FDA had backflipped, finding it safe to consume. Despite all the drama and the decade-long absence, the red M&M has since gone on to become the face of the brand. So, armadillos are pretty cute generally, but imagine one that's pink and tiny. Meet the pink fairy armadillo, stepping up the cuteness game to a whole new level. It's the world's smallest armadillo. This hamster-sized creature can dig tunnels in seconds and even swim through loose sand like a tiny armored fish. But good luck spotting one. They spend most of their time tunneling beneath the sandy shores of Argentina. NASA mapped out a hidden highway in space that lets spacecraft travel using gravity instead of fuel. It's called the Interplanetary Superhighway. It's obviously not a highway in the traditional sense. I mean, there's no road signs and, well, it is in space. But it's made of gravitational corridors connecting the planets and moons where the gravitational pull is effectively cancelled out. This means spacecraft can coast along freely in a type of galactic fuelless cruise control. Ikizukuri is one of the most controversial sushi dishes in the world because the fish is still alive when it's served. Chefs scale, fillet, and serve the fish, often while it's still moving on the plate. And despite it being considered a delicacy in high-end Japanese sushi restaurants, it's been banned in several countries because of the ethical and animal welfare concerns. You might be surprised to know that drinking too much water can be deadly. Over the past decade, at least 15 athletes have died from overhydration or hyponatremia, a condition where too much fluid dilutes sodium in the blood, leading to brain swelling and lung failure. The worst part is that the symptoms of headaches and nausea are almost identical to dehydration, so these athletes tend to drink more. Turns out there's a bit of Pikachu in all of us. Named after that famous yellow lightning bolt-tailed Pokemon, Pikachurin is a real protein that helps your eyes send rapid signals to your brain. It was discovered in 2008, found to be a crucial protein for vision and neural signaling in the retina. Without it, visual responses are delayed and movement becomes slower and harder to track. Imagine needing a passport 3,000 years after your death. That's exactly what happened to Pharaoh Ramesses II in 1974 when his mummy was flown to Paris for restoration. His official Egyptian passport listed his job as king deceased. And when he arrived in France, he was welcomed with full military honours, just like a living head of state. It was never confirmed what he watched on his flight back, but I've got a sneaky suspicion he may have had a fondness for The Mummy Returns. I'm sorry. The trench coat wasn't made for fashion, it was built for war. Thomas Burberry, the guy behind those brown and black tartan scarves that are literally everywhere, designed it for British officers during World War I. Burberry patented a revolutionary gabardine fabric, unique for being both waterproof and lightweight. Not only did this fancy new fabric keep soldiers dry, but it also allowed them to move freely through the trenches. But that's not all. Trench coats came with D-rings on the belt to carry everything from map cases to military essentials, extra large pockets for rations, and they even had epaulettes. Those odd-looking shoulder straps that never really seem to have a purpose. Well, they do. They're designed for displaying an officer's rank insignia. Did you know that Thailand has color-coded days? Tied to Hindu astrology, each day has a lucky color and a ruling planet. In the past, people dressed in these colors for good fortune, and while it's less common now, the tradition still runs deep. Monday is yellow, Tuesday pink, and Wednesday is unique. People claim that astrological influences change after sunset, so they wear dark green in the daytime and light green at night. Believe it or not, Kodak invented digital photography before anyone else, but hid it to protect their film sales. The initial prototype was the size of a toaster. It took 23 seconds to take a photo and used a cassette tape to store the images. But by the time they finally embraced the digital revolution, it was too late. Kodak went bankrupt in 2012. And that's a wrap. Random facts. You can't beat them. And you know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. But wait, there's more. I've got facts about how the 4th Earl of Sandwich invented the sandwich. Another about how we're putting our lives on the line every time we sneeze. And let's not forget that the Great Wall of China was actually built with sticky rice. So yeah, give them a watch. I'll have another 20 facts next week. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.